Now here's the next important point. Television itself is tactile because it has a lot of senses: eye, ear, smell, and movement. Camera moves. Many people, when they see something in vivid color TV, they'll smell the rose. It's not smell-o-vision, but it's activating that sense. So it's the medium with the most sensory life in the 50s. Now, then what happens? The computer goes around it. And then the satellite goes around it. So the satellite is going around the whole planet, and it's an extension of parts of our body, but an extension of the whole planet. This is the end point. We've extended our arms through tools, our eyes through writing, industrialism is kinetic and muscles, and we extended the tactile proprioceptive system with electricity. And that's just parts of the human body. Then the whole planet was extended. The whole organism, because the satellite is a little programmed Earth that somebody could live inside of, whereas you couldn't do it, you can't live out in space. But we created an environment that you could live out in space. So we created a little Earth medium that you can live in. So it's like an extension of the planetary organism. So that is the final punchline. So then the satellite is going around the planet, and people are starting to feel that the planet is the content of the satellite, and therefore it's a stage, because the satellite is created for sending march around the planet. And that means every previous medium becomes an actor. Not just people become an actor. Think of the demand in the 70s for performance in industry and performance art. Everybody had to perform. There was a stage metaphor there. That's because the global theater effect of the satellite made all media and its contents become actors. McLuhan called them actors in the global theater, but most people didn't understand that he meant media were actors. Now, when different media are interacting within the envelope of satellite, when the different media are interacting within the satellite prosthetic, it is a simulation of the tactile organism. Think of each media extension of the sense. Think of the satellite as a coherency or a detachment that's looking at the whole theater, the planetary theater, and watching the media interact. There are extensions. It can be an orchestrating, if it was done consciously, an orchestrating of the different media. That's miming the orchestration that the tactile organism does of all the sensory input. So the important point about McLuhan was, yes, people say TV is tactile, but he was describing in the 60s the programmed environment due to the satellite, which meant that the environment among media had arrived at tactility. All right, this is an important point. The environment was tactile. The interplay of all the media, not just television as a tactile extension itself. The television becomes just another player by the 60s and 70s, and the Presenting March contains the interplay. So the mixed corporate media of the world is the interplay of all these media. So it's literally gone beyond TV per se as tactile. All the media are interacting in a tactile way. So here's a quote from my long essay on our site. Here's a quote, first one I used. From 1962, the satellite's just gone up. Listen to this. McLuhan says, and I think it is this multiplicity of media that is now enabling man to free himself from media for the first time in history. This is fitting into a wake. Because every culture was subliminally controlled by the medium it used in developing the sensory bias, like I indicated, of the plenary awareness of I know it, blah, blah, blah. You can see historically, anthropologically, the bias of each culture. He says, so modern man, he has been the victim, the servo mechanism of his technologies, his media from the beginning of time. But now, because of the sheer multiplicity of them, meaning the media, he is beginning to awaken because he can't live with them all. Now, this is a really interesting point. This is the point to begin with. What does it mean to awaken when we're doing it out of pressure? And what are we awakening to? Are we awakening to the fact that the mixed corporate media tactile media environment is forcing us to awake? So the awakening is ersatz. That's the sophisticated level McLuhan was talking about. And the only medium he could use to really lay it down like commandments from Moses was the book. See, McLuhan did not identify with being a writer. He used all media. He was interested in the dynamics of all media. Being a writer was a minor operation. Bob Logan did the book Mother Invention. The problems of doing the book in the 70s, and McLuhan was half into it. You'd have to write. It was like haphazard the way he would do a book. And all the All the other writers had haphazard times with them. You know, he just dictate a bit and get you to fill in the other part. It wasn't that important doing a book. But the point is, a book, McLuhan said, we need books so we can put down these incredible insights that people can think about to become aware that of the word awaken. What's it mean? It doesn't mean, as the New Agers say, you wake up and you're in a rapture. You have to become aware of what's motivating you to wake up. Okay, when maybe was happening. So McLuhan is in a very difficult position, and the only way that he can point to the sophisticated level he's talking about, where the medium is the message, and the medium is waking us up, which on the surface would be a good thing. Man is on a sort of mechanism. But we're only waking up because that's the effect of the satellite. So he then has to be satirical. He has to prod you. So that is why McLuhan would say that all his writings are satire. And to realize, everything he wrote was satirical. No one took it that way in the 70s and 60s. They thought he was, I say the medium is an extension of man, blah, blah, blah. If they had known that Fitting Its Wake had already done all this, McLuhan wrote a letter to Playboy in 1970. He said, T.S. Eliot's doctrine of the auditory imagination is a common cliche in our culture today, because that's after radio and rock and roll and jazz, 5 and 7. But he says, what the population is not aware of is Fitting Its Wake. They have not awakened to the meaning of Fitting Its Wake. So there was the hidden ground, Fitting Its Wake. He understood, no one understood it. But the wake was the way of someone would write a tactile book. And the media are embedded, nomenclatured in there. So Marshall was always spending his life translating Fitting Its Wake. Not that he worshipped the book, but the insights and the way it was written pointed to something. Because Marshall later would say that Fitting Its Wake and Eliot and Joyce and Lewis and Pound were knee-jerk reflections of the radio effect. They were unaware of radio. Joyce came to the closest to it, and he could project ahead what the TV effect was.